Hello, everyone, and welcome. Our topic today is going to be long-term care planning. And long-term care planning is one of the least talked about pieces of a retirement plan. Most people believe they're going to deal with long-term care later or not at all. Right? Here's the reality. AARP did a study in 2024, I believe it was, that said if you reach the ripe old age of 65, there is a 70% chance you're going to need some kind of care within your lifetime. It's a pretty big number, 70% chance. So let's talk about what is long-term care. Well, long-term care is you're going to need help with your normal activities of daily living, dressing and bathing, feeding yourself. Maybe you have a cognitive impairment, memory issue, those kinds of things. And there's 3 levels of care. There's intermediate, custodial, and skilled. Right? Now, depending on the level of care is where the care is going to be given. It can be given at home, through home health care, assisted living, or nursing facilities. So those are the basis of the care itself. So let's walk through 4 warning signs that I see as a financial advisor that someone's not prepared for a long-term care situation. Just not prepared, hasn't done any preparations at all, hasn't really talked about it. Right? Number 1, they assume Medicare is going to pay for long-term care. Well, what's Medicare? Medicare is universal health insurance for people who turn 65. You can get on if you're on disability, not going to go down that road, but normally you go on Medicare at 65. And Medicare is designed for doctors and hospitals. That's the kind of insurance it is. Now, it will pay for some rehab if you go to the hospital and have surgery. But after 100 days of that rehab cost, you're out of pocket 100%. So you're on your own. And it's only after people have a health crisis that they realize this is the case. And so at that point, their options have been pretty much eliminated as what they can do from there, right? So, planning ahead gives you way more options. Having no plans takes all those options away. They shrink. All right. Warning sign number 2, using family members as the backup plan. I've seen this so many times. This happened in our family. Our grandfather spent 19 years in and out of nursing homes. So we know what this looks like. Being a caregiver, if you've ever been a caregiver, you know that caregiving is emotionally, physically, and financially disruptive and exhausting, right? You want your family to be a part of the conversation, not the primary caregiver, right? And it's not about pushing them away. It's about including them in this and protecting the people you care about the most. So, relying on families as a backup plan I've seen as a bad idea, especially when it actually starts to happen. Number 3, delaying planning because it's an uncomfortable topic. No one wants to talk about it. I mean, this isn't dinner conversation. You're talking about a day where you become you're not independent anymore. You're aging and need help. It's not something people want to talk about on a regular basis. AARP did a study, and they asked people over the age of 60, what are your 3 biggest fears about aging? Do you want to know where death fell in that? Number 3. Death was number 3. What's number 1? Running out of money. Number 2, living in a long-term care facility or needing some kind of long-term care. But avoiding the conversation doesn't eliminate the risk. It makes it even more difficult to make decisions because you're still at risk. You're just now giving up to chance. And it's the healthy people that have the most options because they've made plans beforehand. Once your health has changed, your options shrink or they disappear at all, right? So the right time isn't to wait till you need care. It's before that process, right? Warning sign number 4, not understanding the impact on your retirement income and assets. So home health care, depending on where you live in this country, home health care can cost anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 a year. All right. Assisted living is $80,000 to $100,000 a year. Again, depending on your area. Long-term care in a nursing home is anywhere from $90,000 to $150,000 a year. I mean, we're talking year after year. That can wreak havoc on a good laid retirement plan. you start, where's that money coming from? It's coming from the assets you spent a lifetime to build. And so if you're draining those assets, what happens to your spouse that's left? What happens to the heirs you're trying to provide for, to leave a legacy, those kinds of things. So that's another, people, don't understand what that cost is going to really cost their retirement plan. Now, here's what I hear sometimes. People say, well, I'll just sign my assets over to my kids and then I'll get into Medicaid. Well, first of all, Medicaid is a state-run organization that you have to qualify for. So you can't have really anything. You have to qualify because you're basically becoming a ward of the state. You go on Medicaid, which is like welfare, right? That's exactly what it is. You're asking the state to pay your bill. So you've got a couple options. You can sign all your assets over to a revocable trust right now. It's got to be in there for 5 years. And I said revocable, which means it cannot be changed. And you have zero control. Someone else is in control of your assets. You cannot be. They can't belong to you anymore, right? Or you wait until you need care, and then you go through what's called the spendown process to qualify for Medicaid. And if you've ever been through the spendown process with somebody you care about, you know exactly how exhausting this is. They make you come in and prove that you have zero assets, and the assets you do have, you have to list them. They put you in assets and income, and they make you spend your assets down to a certain level before they will pay for your care, right? It's called the spend-down process. Now, let's say you apply, you finally get on Medicaid. Hooray, you're on Medicaid. Guess what? You're a ward of the state. They can put you in a bed in a nursing home within 90 miles of your residence, right, of where you were. So that means your family's not driving somewhere that may not be that close, right? So, and it's only after this that people realize what these situations look like. So, what's next? So, first of all, I don't want to put any fear in your mind. This shouldn't be about fear. This should be about confidence and knowledge and independence. And I want you to have protection and choices. Long-term care insurance is not for everyone. The planning is for everyone. So if you want to have a discussion about whether the planning's, what kind of planning you should do, or the insurance is for you, what kind of planning you and your family should do, reach out to me, aprfinancialgroup.com, or reach me at 704-564-7060. Look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful day.